welcome everyone. Thank you all very much for coming. So we do this every Sunday called the Darshan room. Darshan has many different significances. It means to see, it means philosophy, it means to be seen. Like sometimes people, when they come to the temple and they pray, it means to be seen by God. There are 6 famous philosophical systems in India called the Sad Darshans. And so this is our gathering for spiritual, to be seen, for spiritual gathering, for philosophy and association. So thank you very much. We have our homegrown monk. He's been in this temple for many years, Natabar. He is a pillar of we have kirtan every day in New York City, and he's one of the main pillars of this program. So kirtan is what we just did, but we do this actually in New York City at Washington Square Park, Central Park, and he's the one that makes sure it happens. So we're very happy to have him and share deep realizations on re-examining what does it mean for success. So, Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Nityananda Prabhu, and thank you everyone for coming. I see some familiar faces and some non-familiar faces, so maybe we could do a quick introduction. Maybe everyone could just go around the room and say who they are and if this is like their first time or they're a regular, and maybe if they have anything interesting about themselves. Or you can skip that part if you want, but if you have something interesting, you could say. So my name's Natabar. Natabar means dancer. So we dance in the kirtan, not at a bar. And I have a twin brother, and I mean, I'm a regular here, but.
I'm Stefan. I'm from Malaysia, from Russia, and recently I've been to Thailand, and yeah, I
Okay,
lived there
traveler.
as a homeless man for like a month. That was quite an experience.
Okay, thank you, Stefan.
Hello, I'm Cici. I'm from China. I'm visiting New York, and I was here yesterday morning. So he told me we have this lessons
Okay.
and fees on Sunday. So
Welcome, Cece.
really happy to come. Thank you.
My name is Genesis. I've come a few times, but I'm hoping to come.
Thank you, Genesis. Good to have you.
My name is Jonathan. I've been here like a year and a half. My first time was on Krishna's birthday, Janmashtami.
My name's Thomas. I've been coming here for a while, for a year. I didn't come here to speed date, so let's go.
Hi everyone, I'm Azim. I come here often.
My name is Abraham. I just moved to New York, but I've been here for a few years. Fun fact about me, I absolutely love cows. Milked a cow every week for a year, but I'm allergic to milk. Kids and play the funny game on me.
I'm Chris. I'm from Los Angeles, and when I come to New York, I come here and go to Bhakti Center.
Hi, I'm Yajay. I've been coming for a long time now. I grew up near Tompkins Square Park, where Prabhupada came from India and distributed all over the world, right? So it kind of resonates. It's home.
Good to see you again, Yajay.
Hi, I'm Regina. It's my first time here, and a fun fact about me is I love film and movies.
You love film?
Yeah.
Okay, movies. What's your favorite movie?
I like Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy. That's an older one, right?
Mm-hmm. 1968.
Yeah. Wow.
My name is Nityananda Chandra. A couple decades ago, I used to live in this temple as a monk. And last 6 months, I've been doing a lot of serious Sanskrit study, and it's kicking my butt. And
I can't wait to.
Fun fact is Tukaram from 1936 is the best film. Tukaram, 1936, won an International Film Award.
That is a good film.
Krishna devotee.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Good to meet you all. And raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, great. I was also like Nityananda doing a little bit of studying. And I wanted to talk about the first chapter. And I guess the first question that I should answer for all of you, some of you are here for the first time, some of you here regularly, but then it would be mostly even for me, like, how is the Bhagavad Gita relevant to us today? It's 5,000 years old. It's about a battlefield that all the soldiers are long gone. The kingdoms they fought for are many times changed over. So if you didn't know, the Bhagavad Gita is like a conversation within a conversation. So the outer conversation, it starts with the king who's trying to have his sons illegitimately claim the kingdom. His name is Dhritarashtra, and he's speaking to his one of his priests, Sanjay. And in that conversation, they're trying to figure out what's going on the battlefield. And so within the context of that conversation, you have the Prince Arjuna, who is part of the family who has the rightful claim to the kingdom, and he's fighting, and his charioteer is Krishna, which Krishna is actually like an avatar of God. So this is kind of just in the very beginning, even if you just look on the cover of the Bhagavad Gita, it tells a lot of theosophical, mind-blowing, situation, where normally in any theology, we see God, like Allah means God is great. God is the creator of everything. He's the maintainer of everything. He's the destroyer of everything. He's the Alpha and the Omega. And all these very huge concepts that make God very beyond us. Whereas the first thing in the Bhagavad Gita, we see that God is putting himself in a position lower than someone, which may seem sacrilegious or blasphemous. But then when you understand the reason after understanding the Gita shows us actually that God, although everyone is his servant, God is a servant to love. So that's just one minor realization. We can even just looking at the cover, we can see that. And so then within the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna is expressing his doubts of why he doesn't want to fight, and Krishna ends up convincing him and explaining so much details about different areas of philosophy. And so we'll go in the first place where that starts. It starts in a place most of us are trying to avoid, where Arjuna is actually having a complete mental, emotional, physical collapse. He's having a complete breakdown. And actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita, it applies to us because Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, and they're not only trying to answer Arjuna's doubts, but through Arjuna, he's trying to communicate with everyone. So Bhagavad Gita even means, Gita means song, so Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. So this is like God trying to talk to us individually. So we all have our different battlefields, and I guess if you have ever found yourself in some sort of dismay or you don't like where you're going, then perhaps you have some dejection in your life or some disappointment, then congratulations, you're on the same path as Arjuna, you're in the same path as the Bhagavad Gita. So the first chapter is called...
I'm just like seeing like a Mission Impossible or Bond, like he's cool in all the circumstances, but now he's put in such a place where he's like shaking and like he's...
Yeah, Arjuna.
Like, Arjuna's like always on top of his game, and he's like such a powerful person.
Yeah.
He's like...
Yeah, so this deepest layer of the conversation is between God and the living soul, between God and us. And each chapter, there's 18 chapters, and each chapter is originally called a different kind of yoga. So normally when I say yoga, everyone's thinking of different stretching, but actually the word yoga, which stretching can help us attain yoga, that's why it's there. But each yoga means a connection with divinity. Like the word yoke is a word in English that comes from the same root word. So yoke means to like connect things together. So yoga means a connection with the divine. And so the first chapter is called Vishad Yoga. And so Vishad means It has a few different meanings: dejection, sorrow. It's describing Arjuna's feelings: despair, disappointment, melancholy. And so they have, down the street you can go to regular stretching yoga and it's $20 a class. But here at the Bhakti school, we're having Vishad yoga, $20. You can come. Depression yoga. No. So actually, the world is always keeping us busy. It's constantly asking us, what is our external achievements? We're constantly being measured by numbers, the percentage we got into exam, our position in a ranking, our popularity in social media, our power in a certain political structure, our prestige in society. And so Einstein once said, everything that can be counted doesn't necessarily count. And sometimes the things that can't be counted count for more. So this Vishad yoga, this is something we want to try to gain from. Actually, despair and all these seemingly negative feelings, they can have a positive view. There can be a positive twist. Has anyone ever heard of disruptive thinking? The phrase disruptive thinking? So it's like, most of us don't like to be disrupted. Okay, so, but we've all heard of speed bumps, like in the road, right? You're driving and there's a speed bump. So what's the purpose of the speed bump? The speed bump is there so if the person goes over it, then they're more conscious, they're more aware of their surroundings, and they're going to drive better. Where if it wasn't there, like in India, actually, they tend to have a lot of speed bumps and random like gates just in the way. So you can't just speed down going really fast. You have to like slow down a bunch. And here we have stoplights and other things, but and actually in our life, because life just is pushing us on through different things, a lot of the times we can go into a kind of autopilot, and sometimes we need some sort of disruption to wake out of that. Just like the speed bump makes the person more aware and more conscious. They call it like a progressive disruption. It sounds like an oxymoron, but sometimes when you get taken off your trajectory, it can take you to a space where you can realign and get to a place much more satisfying. But it's uncomfortable. It definitely is. But that's the point. It's we have to challenge ourselves. We have to be humble enough to realize maybe I haven't been doing it the right way. Maybe I was wrong, and it requires humility, bravery, courage. Although it's uncomfortable, these kind of disruptions are necessary because they can actually take us to our greatest potential. So the Bhagavad Gita is such a disruptive book. It's right in the beginning. It shows us like this person is reading. Arjuna hit a speed bump, so to speak. He reached to the end of his ability to solve his problems, and therefore he had Vishad, Arjuna-Vishad-Yoga, dejection, sorrow, despair. I'm shaking. My bow is falling from my hands. My mouth is drying up. My hairs are standing on end. I don't know what to do right now. And so, they say when you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. Arjuna has hit rock bottom. And they say often when you have a material breakdown, that's what you can have. Only then when you can have a spiritual breakthrough. If we didn't have that breakdown and we still kept going on autopilot, then it's not going to work. Arjuna needed this. Actually, his rock bottom despair became the catalyst for him receiving the highest spiritual wisdom. The Bhagavad Gita was then spoken to like bring him out of that. And so the very first lesson, yes.
What do you mean by material breakdown?
Material breakdown, I mean just it could be so many things. You lose a job, you lose a friend, you lose a relationship, you lose money.
Something that's tangible, that's not real.
Yeah, it could be something you lose something physical, you lose something emotional, something really bad happens to your false ego. All these it's just it's
tangible but also untangible. It can be just something that just escapes.
Yeah, something that people get depressed or into a bad mood for so many different things. Most of the time it's because of what they're doing, and how they're doing it is just at odds with the universe, at odds with and they're trying to push their own way. And so the first lesson that Arjuna actually gets taught by Krishna is how to redefine success. Although I guess you could say the first realization that we get when Krishna and Arjuna start talking. So everyone has their different definition of success. Someone may say, I want to go to the gym and lose 30 pounds and become more fit and strong and more healthy, and maybe like maybe I have some disease, get rid of my cancer, get rid of my disease. Or maybe they have some emotional goal. Okay, I want to like have a very good relationship with my parents. I want to get a significant other and have a very good relationship with them, get a spouse. Or maybe they have false ego related goals. I want to be the CEO of this company. I want to be this position in society. Everyone has kind of, depending on where they are, what they're doing, they have a different definition of success. And, you know, a good example, so in his graduation, the teacher was there congratulating everyone, and there was Sally and Joe. So, okay, Joe, what's your, you're graduating, what is success for you? He's like, oh, me, I want to be a big entrepreneur. I want to have a huge company, and I want to make tons of money from that, and I own 365 luxury cars, and I want to have a boat, and I want to have a house on an island with like all the latest technology, and a helicopter, and a plane, and a private jet, and that's what I want. That's success for me. Like, oh wow, okay, that's cool. Okay, Sally, what do you want? And Sally like, oh me, I'm just simple. I'll just marry Joe. So, indirectly or directly, everyone has kind of their different definition of success. So let me ask you a question, especially our newcomers. Welcome. Is it possible to be successful? Is it possible to be successful with everything that you desired and still be unhappy? Raise your hand if yes. Raise your hand if you disagree, or if you're still thinking about it. I mean, you think it's impossible to?
I think it's possible
to be successful and get everything you need, but still feel unhappy. Is that a possibility? That's why I'm just trying to. I'm trying to ask if that's a possibility.
It's possible to get everything that you need and be happy, right?
Yeah, it is. So but what does that depend on? The definition of success. Yes, you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, it depends on what your goal is. If it's a material goal,
yes,
I've experienced it. You work for something, you get it. It's not what you think it was, and it's disappointing.
Or also, like, you can have all the successes you want, but if you're not happy with yourself, it's meaningless. Like, it comes from within.
Yeah, definitely. Like they said, they have these different versions of success. We have physical success, emotional success, false ego success, and then kind of, our physical is just related to our body, maybe a little bit of related with money and things we can acquire. Emotional success is our relationships, and ego success is with our position. But then we have the deep down, our deepest, innermost identity at the level, like our spiritual success. That is something that's missing with a lot of people. So it's like everyone could be looking for the right thing, but in the wrong place. They say looking for love in all the wrong places. Yes?
There's also a possibility that, like, even if you're looking in the right place, that it's not something where it's automatically happiness will come. It's like something that will still needs to be worked on. Like, there will still be unhappy phases even if you're looking.
Definitely.
Yeah, this question makes me think. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam 1.518 which says, like, actually, people that are actually intelligent don't search for anything that can be found in the highest planet or the lowest planet, because they know that happiness comes automatically in the course of time, and the stress also comes automatically in the course of time. When I read that, I thought about, I don't know, a person like Elon Musk, right? Richest person in the world. Still, in the course of his day, happiness comes, distress comes, right? And so if you're just like searching for something material, you're just going to be stuck in this context of the dualities.
Thank you, Prabhu. What's your name?
John, yeah.
John
Renee.
John Renee. Thank you for coming. And yeah, Abe?
So we talked about different types of success, like physical success, emotional success. We gave examples of it. Like, going to the gym or having a good relationship with your parents or your significant other. What is spiritual success according to Krishna?
Yeah, we'll get to that. That'll be in a little bit. Like they say, the worst kind of success is when you achieve all your goals, but then you realize that it was just someone else's goals. And like kind of the explanation of that, they say if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, that it becomes a so-called truth, right? We've heard that, like kind of like propaganda is running, and if that truth is accepted by enough people, then that truth becomes a culture, and if that culture perpetuates from one generation to another, then it becomes a tradition. So then anyone born in that tradition, they'll begin to set their goals and their objectives of success and all these things based on that tradition they were born in, based on the so-called culture, which is based on the so-called truth, which is actually a lie. Then it's all on a false basis. Like when I was growing up, there, it's kind of just implied in the culture. There was this one, I forgot her name, but in the early 1900s, she wanted to revolutionize education in the 1940s, and she was saying we should teach the kids that whatever we're teaching in school is actually just a reflection of our culture, and we don't know actually the best way to teach things, and it's just the way that we've learned how to integrate everyone so far, but it's not the best way. But then, in a way, she was trying to actually make the teaching better and more thorough, but what happened is everyone banned her book and they didn't want that to spread. So the point is, our culture, it's naturally coming out of different things, but it's putting these subtle cues on what we actually should be aiming for. And I don't know about you, but it seems to me that in like generation by generation, that target keeps changing, and it keeps changing to more and more material. Even just like you look on YouTube. I remember when YouTube first came out in like the early 2000s, and there'd be all kinds of different videos on there. And then I remember, I don't know exactly when it was, sometimes in the mid 2010s or almost to 2020, then YouTube started coming out with YouTube Shorts. And I guess there was like, before that, there was Vines and Instagram and all the just people had long attention spans, and then they got shorter and shorter and shorter attention spans. Or I guess maybe more way to control people's thinking. But the point is that we need to actually challenge our way of thinking. We not only can we have the wrong definition of success, but we can pursue success in the wrong way. And not only can we pursue success in the wrong way, even if we get success, what we do after we achieve success, we can utilize it in the wrong way. So you can have the wrong definition, you can pursue it in the wrong way, and you can utilize it in the wrong way. So in this first chapter, Arjuna is trying to ask Krishna, like there's the two conversations. Dhritarashtra, who is the king, speaking with his priest, Sanjay, and the inner conversation, they're speaking about Arjuna speaking with Krishna. So Dhritarashtra, what he's thinking, his definition of success is that his sons win the battle and they win the kingdom. And he thinks that will make them enjoy. And that's all he's been fighting for his entire life. And so he's really worried about that. And Arjuna is very worried, but he's not worried for the same reason. He has a completely different doubt than Dhritarashtra. Arjuna is worried that he's like, I'm the best fighter. I know I can actually win this war. I'm not worried about whether I can win this war or not. I'm worried that if I win this war, I still won't be happy. Like he knew that he could win the war, but he wasn't sure that was going to make him happy. So right then and there, Krishna is trying to teach us we have to have the right definition of success. We have to pursue it in the right way, and we have to utilize it in the right way. So many people feel if I become rich and I become successful, I get that promotion, I'll be happy. But at what cost? At what cost? Okay, so you get more money, and then what happens? You lose your health, you lose your relationships, you lose your peace of mind. A lot of the times, especially when you try to make more and more money, you lose your values and your character. You sacrifice your principles. And what price did you pay to get all that money? All of that stuff, is it really actually worth it? And then once you have money, if you don't know how to utilize it right, that money can be like a gigantic ocean to just drown you in. some of the most wealthy people are also very miserable. Like George Harrison, he was complaining. He was literally one of the most famous people on the planet. He's complaining, I can't go out anywhere. If I make a hotel reservation, I have to go in complete disguise and put a false name. Otherwise, if people hear about it, I'll get mobbed, and I won't be able to enjoy anything. And everywhere I go, I have to hide myself. Otherwise, there's just thousands of people that recognize me. And any friend that comes to me, I can't tell if they're actually my friend. Do they actually want to be my friend, or they just want me for my fame and my money? You know, there's a famous saying, money. Oh, there's two sayings. I'll say one that's like more materialistic. Money, money, money. Brighter than sunshine, sweeter than honey. Right? We can relate with that. I mean, if everyone got $1,000 right now, we'd probably feel pretty good about it. But there's another saying, which comes from maybe a little more wise saying. Money, money. A trouble to acquire, a trouble to protect. A trouble it is lost, and a trouble it is spent. Money is nothing but trouble from beginning to end. So, you know, I guess we're in Brooklyn, you know, near where Biggie Smalls went. More money, more problems, right? And so, I mean, not to completely degrade money, but the point is, if you don't have the right definition of success, if you don't have the right way to achieve success, if you don't have the right way to utilize success, then it's all for naught. And so Arjuna's wondering how he can actually win the war. Dhritarashtra's wondering, or if he'll actually be happy after winning the war. And Dhritarashtra's wondering if he'll even be able to win the war. And so Arjuna first thinks, okay, if I can't be happy winning the war, then let me just escape the world. I'll just become a wandering mendicant in the forest, and I'll eat fruits and roots, and I'll live in a little grass hut, and I'll just escape the world, because you can't win in the material world. So even if I win, I'll lose. So what's the point of playing the game? So he tries to completely get out of it. But actually, Krishna tells him no. The whole one of the main themes of the Bhagavad Gita is that the point of the game is you should actually pursue your duty based on the proper identity and based on spiritual principles. So you shouldn't necessarily escape from the material world, nor should you completely be absorbed in the material world. You have to do it side by side. So this is like kind of the art of all working. So to kind of summarize, people say things happen to you, but in the first chapter of the Gita, when you realize Arjuna-Vishad-Yoga, some of these heavy things that can make us upset, make us depressed, make us melancholy, make us feel bad, actually we should realize these things happen for us. So things don't happen to us, things happen for us if we have the proper perspective. And then success doesn't necessarily mean doing things better, getting more things, but success means doing better things. And the main point that I just made is that material and success are not opposed. Material and spiritual success, material and spiritual work are not opposed. They're actually complementary. And we're all here. We almost earn a living, but we also almost earn our life. Like Genesis, you were saying, you could be doing the thing and still sometimes everything's going up and down, of course, but you have to continuously work at it. That's called doing your duty. And so we don't want to just be existing and just another, they call it like an NPC, just trying to go through whatever our culture is trying to do us. We want to think for ourselves. We want to try to utilize these disruptive knowledge, this progressive disruption in our life, so that anytime there's a speed bump, instead of getting annoyed and breaking our car by going too fast over it, we can actually become more aware and thinking of how can this actually progressively help me? How can this? What am I missing in the picture here? What can I do? How can I realize the broader picture? How can I actually bring my not only my physical happiness, not only my emotional happiness, not only my happiness coming from the false ego, but happiness coming from the spiritual platform, happiness coming from the soul. And so the way to get to the happiness coming from the soul is, we have food for our body, we have food for our emotions, we have food for our false ego. And the food for the soul is to connect with divinity, to connect with the divine. And just like the first thing, if we look on the cover of the Bhagavad Gita, what is the connection between the divine and the asker of the Arjuna is asking the questions? They're both in a relationship where actually divinity is becoming the charioteer of Arjuna. And this is because Arjuna has a deep personal relationship with God. And so generally God is always above us, but in love, God can agree, just like when you're a little kid, did you ever wrestle with your parents? Especially maybe the boys did more. But then it's like the boy and the dad are wrestling together, and then the dad somehow gets pinned by the little 3-year-old boy, and oh my gosh, it's like that's, the famous president is very like strict in all his dealings, but then someone peeps in and he's at home, and his little son is riding him like a horse. So it's like that. When we actually develop our relationship with God, that can give us a deep spiritual pillar of happiness and support that can help us transcend any other kind of, on any other level. It can to provide a nourishment that can allow us to be, remain calm, remain fixed in our duty, remain still operating, not completely shut down, and not affected by that speed bump. It can really allow us to attain that. That's really the meaning of Vishad-Yoga, which is what I wanted to talk to you all about today. So that's about it. So let's discuss it. Yes, Thomas. How do we find happiness?
How would you define happiness?
How would I define happiness?
How would you define happiness?
Happiness can be a state of bliss in the body, in the mind, in the emotions, or in the soul. So in the body, you're laughing. For the soul, you're laughing for a spiritual reason. In the body, emotions. In emotions, you have a good relationship with someone, so you can feel happy about that. You did something and someone had a good relationship together. For the ego, you attained what your ego thought it could get. It's like the opposite of depression. If you don't get those things, then you feel depressed. If you do get them, then you feel good. And the happiness on the spiritual platform is when you deepen your relationship with the divine, or you deepen your relationship in things related to the divine. So for me, when I'm able to, for example, we were just chanting Hare Krishna, and it was okay, but it could have been deeper. So I was a little bit happy, but if we were all in it more deeper, then I would be more happy.
There's levels of happiness.
Definitely, yeah.
Ecstatic happiness, and then just like, oh, I'm happy happiness.
Yeah, it's like an infinite sliding scale. I mean, you can like.
Even the.
You said it was bliss. Yeah. Like you kind of defined it, then you kind of chopped it up into different stuff. I was just wondering how you, Natabar, define happiness in a nutshell.
Happiness is
when it's coming up on you, and you're like,
yeah,
that's happiness right there.
I mean, as physical changes, my heart feels like expanding. I'm probably smiling or laughing or just feeling good. I could describe the physical and mental characteristics going about. Do you want me to? You understand the gist of what I'm saying, though, right?
I was hoping you understood the gist of it. That's why I'm asking you.
In the hospitals they have like those pictures of the smiley faces, like our
yeah.
So
yeah, it's like how happy, how much pain. Like they have like 1 to 10 pain, and there's going to be 1 to 10 happiness. I mean, I don't know how it's.
They have
different emotions.
Like in the mental hospital, it's called SUDS, and what your level of SUDS are. So it goes from 0 to 10. It's like you're happy and calm versus I'm in distress.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, distresses and happiness. I guess there's a spiritual dimension to that, but that's another class.
There's 108 levels, right?
Sorry. I think to your question, bro, there's like. I think there's 2 levels of this, like that duality of like happiness and distress, in which we can be like, oh, I'm so happy, I'm so blessed, and then like, oh, this sucks, you know, I'm so depressed and whatever. But then like underlying all of that, like, I don't know, like I feel like throughout my 20s, you know, I experienced like dualities of happiness and distress all the time, right? But underneath all of that, there was like an underlying sense of like purposelessness, right? So underlying all of that, there was a sense of like depression, I guess, or despair, even if I was like having a good time, like, you know, every once in a while and whatnot, right? And now I feel like underlying episodes of sadness and episodes of happiness, which come during the day, right? There's like bliss, right? To be out of a sense of connectedness, out of feeling like rooted.
The
Right?
bliss isn't the happiness.
The bliss isn't the temporary happiness in my case, you know. Yeah.
Change your mind about
It's like
it used to be temporary.
You could call it joy, I guess, right?
Permanent
Yeah.
bliss.
Yeah.
Bliss is
Bliss.
happiness in your opinion.
Yes.
But it used to be temporary.
Yes.
And then what was it?
It's still. I think we're talking about two different things.
What was it?
What was it?
Before it became bliss, what was happiness?
It wasn't there.
The temporary. Well, what did you think it was? You thought it was happiness, right? You were convinced.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's tied to fulfillment. Is what it
Yes.
yeah,
exactly.
It sounds like there's like an underlying, like if you're not fulfilled, then happiness is
Like a sense of like purposefulness.
Like
fulfillment.
free as
Yeah.
bowl cereal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Boom, happiness.
No.
physical
We're changing
fulfillment.
words.
No, like I feel like
fulfillment.
I feel like I'm giving you concepts, fulfillment. Like
I don't have questions about happiness for myself. I'm asking other people.
no, that's what I'm saying. I see like purpose, right? Purpose and fulfillment.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
There was an instance where you said that success is doing, not getting better things, but doing better things. But in that same way of saying it's maybe doing things in a better way.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, for example, if someone has to do for a living,
Hey, bro, Haribo. Hey, she's asking a question. I know, just.
So
We have plenty of time to discuss during the prashadam.
But one at a time.
I will repeat. So you stated that success is doing better things, but in that way, it's also doing things in a better way. And
You could phrase it like that.
Is if someone has to, let's say, you know, like clean diapers, and that's what they do for a living. Some people may consider that as they could do better things, but in a way, they're doing it. And if they do it with pride and if they do it with love, then that is the success to them because they're doing it in a better way.
Yeah, that's a good point, Regina. And also that anything that we're doing, mostly in material life, can be spiritualized. It can be, it's called like dovetailed into a spiritual life. So whatever, even if we're changing diapers, so to speak, either we can be in some sort of spiritual atmosphere doing that, or we can take the fruits of whatever we did that we got from that, and we can engage those fruits in some sort of spiritual activity. So therefore, it's what if you do that, then whatever you've done to get that, it's spiritualized. Of course, we shouldn't try to make money doing things that are going to degrade us. So there are a few things, but
that's what I'm saying. It's like who says that that's degrading? Like who is it's society who's telling us that's degrading. But
well, I wouldn't say changing diapers is that degrading. Yeah, like murdering people. Yeah, something like that. That's what I mean when I say degrading. Changing diapers is very helpful. There's babies born, old men are dying, and babies are crying. You know, you got to take care of them. Okay, Abraham.
So material success is clear. Like I'm gonna lose weight. There's a number attached to it. I'm gonna get a partner. There's a person attached to it. All these things, money, success. I can achieve success potentially in material sense. What is spiritual success?
So spiritual success is like I tried to give a simple definition. Do you remember what I said?
No.
So it's when you connect with the divine and establish a relationship. And so that may seem like, oh, there's no like concrete thing, but in a way, could be many concrete levels, and those are called sankalpas. So if you want to like establish a relationship with a regular person, okay, first meet them. Okay, I got her number or I got his number, and now we met each other, and now the next goal is we want to have our first date. And after our first date, that went well. Okay, then we have something where we do something together. That went well. Okay, so it's becoming more and more of a deep relationship. And so similarly, with us connecting with God, it's like, okay, first just establish that that's like a reality that's possible. Then, I mean, at least for us in the Hare Krishnas, we have many different levels and definitions and things to achieve, and I'm sure you've heard all of those. So for example, like start a daily practice of trying to connect with God through prayer. So
How do you pray?
So how do I specifically pray, or how does anyone pray?
Anyway, how do the Hare Krishnas pray?
Well, we do. I mean, I feel like you're kind of like,
He's fishing for answers.
Okay, then how do you pray personally? How do you pray personally?
So basically, the Hare Krishna Maha mantra means a tool to utilize your mind. So our minds are always doing different things. So the Maha Mantra is like a way that we can use our mind as like a bow and arrow, where then our consciousness is the arrow and we can shoot it and reach God. And so I try to chant Hare Krishna at different levels of efficacy, and that's how I try to connect with God. So what we were just doing, that was like we were trying to collectively come together and connect with God, and I try to do that every day. We have our personal meditation in the morning. We try to wake up early to make it like the main important thing of our day, that we want to get up when the ether is still calm and it's easy to meditate, and we didn't want to dedicate time to just getting our consciousness in front of God. God is so transcendental that if you're chanting his names, he can actually appear within his names. He can be non-different than his names. So it's not like when I'm chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, like you guys don't get it like a Coke in front of you and can drink the Coke, because Coke is just a mundane thing. But transcendental things, like God, if he so chooses to agree to descend in the form of his holy name, and we're requesting him, oh God, please engage me in your service. I want to be engaged in your service. Then that consciousness is like establishing a connection with God. And then I guarantee each and every one of you, if you pray like that every day, even just for like 10 minutes a day, I mean, we try to practice for an hour or 2 hours every day, but everyone's on their own level of whatever they're doing. Everyone has busy things going on. But I guarantee if you pray, oh God, please engage me in your service. I want to be engaged in divine service. And that's what one of the definitions of this mantra means. Then I guarantee you that you'll get some sort of opportunity to, and then it's up to you. If you want to take that opportunity and engage in the service and take it seriously, then you will feel that in a personal way that's hard to describe with words. I mean, I guess I could, but that's more the job of poets. And like when experiencing something and describing something are, it's like, describe to me how it feels to eat ice cream. Like, it's good, it's cold, it's creamy, it's like smooth on your tongue, and you like, I don't know, but just eat ice cream and then you'll know what it's like. Yes, Cece.
Yes, but like when you're chanting the mantra, what is going on in your mind?
So
You try to keep your mind like empty.
yeah, the mind is very wavering all the time. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying we have to try to control the mind. And so the mantra is like that tool. So my mind, if I'm having if I'm trying to measure the experience, if I'm having a good experience, it's when my mind can focus on the mantra, can focus on like divine thoughts, can focus on connecting to God, can focus on remembering things about God, remembering things of my relation to God or God's relation to other things. That's a very good. And when it's bad, my mind's thinking about everything else but that. Thinking about what I have to do, or thinking about just like being absent-minded from the mantra. So the goal is in the beginning, they say when you chant, you try to just have your ears hear the mantra and your voice just say it, and your consciousness should come to, yes, I'm hearing, and yes, I'm chanting. And if it goes somewhere else, no problem, you just bring it back to the mantra. So it's like kind of like a tool. It's going to go away, and you just try to bring it back. But by the same power that it's going away, it'll be able to be brought back. And that's like how you kind of transcend it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I'm confused. Like, it's happened quite often. Like when I'm chanting the mantra, and then I have like I don't know if it's like inspiration or like you have ideas. I was wondering if it's like a guide from the God, like to tell me like sign, or it's just some like messy.
Yeah, that's a great point. I would say if you get some sort of idea that you think is inspiration, ask 3 people you trust if they think it's also a good idea. And then if they all say, yeah, that sounds like divinely inspired, then go for it. That's generally,
That's how you like make a cult. If three people like agree with your delusion, like then
yeah, but three like trustworthy, wise people. Not just 3 people off the street.
I mean, like 3 people on the age of 5.
Yeah, if you're and
No, but if it's a sign from the God, I don't need to ask like other people stuff, right?
well, one thing, yeah, it could, because you're asking, how do we know if it's a sign from God or not? So one thing is, it's like, I mean, for me, I have trusted spiritual authorities who I'm like, okay, God, this is like the person that I'm going to listen to, and I want to connect to you via Srila Prabhupada. I want to connect to you via the Bhagavad Gita. And so if I'm thinking something that's like going against those principles, then I know that's just my rascal mind like thinking something. And if I'm thinking something that's like maybe inspired by something that's going through there, then I can understand, okay, like this is inspiring me more and more to do this. But in general, we should try to just think, please just engage me in service, and then we'll see some service will come. Like,
Well, also, when you're
yes,
engaging
Jaji.
in service and you're absorbed in the thoughts of God and chanting His names, I think that's a great platform to receive inspiration, right?
Yeah, just sometimes you don't know if it's the inspiration or if it's just some.
I mean, that's
discernment.
Yeah. Well, we're honing in on the absolute.
If you
I
have
think
to
that's
ask
a better
them
place
to-
than like misery or depression to receive inspiration. When you're caught in desire,
I think I know
that's
what you're
worse
saying. Are you asking like, are they floating thoughts? Because I've done a few different like before I started Hare Krishna, I studied Buddhism for a little bit.
Okay.
And they chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo,
Yeah.
which is another form of chanting. And before that, I mostly just sat in silence. I found like with the whole breathe in 4, breathe out 4, like 8 or something like that. I couldn't count, but that was a good way to quiet my mind, especially while like quiet my mind in a way where I can hear the divine and also not have to focus on am I saying the right chant properly? Because sometimes chanting Hare Krishna, if I forget the second line, my head's just going back to, okay, what am I supposed to be saying exactly? And it's not a connection with the divine at all. It's just me trying to figure out the right way to do it.
Thank you.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes it, actually all inspiration, all remembrance, all knowledge, all forgetfulness, he is actually behind it. He's facilitating it. But he also facilitates our desires. So if we're not 100% pure, then what we might be inspired by might be just the facility of inspiration towards. There are great scientists that have got inspirations of great breakthroughs. Like there's something called the zeta function that a mathematician discovered, that it took teams of PhD mathematicians 70 years to produce the proofs to back up his function. And they were saying, when we look at his writings, he did not have the fundamental understanding to actually even come to that conclusion. He did. It's like he came from A to Z with not even really knowing what is C, what is D, what is E. It was an inspiration that was given to him. And so what he was saying is, we have 3 parts that we check. There is the sacred literature, the words of Krishna. You have the saints. You have your own teacher. And so if there's some inspiration from the heart, but also we have within our heart, every inspiration is there coming from the Lord within. But those are all mixed in with our own desires. So it's just like a tool. When it is very, very sharpened, it can be used very nicely. And so we're trying to sharpen this tool of our heart. Or another example is cleanse the mirror of the heart. So we're trying to get it clean. So in the interim state, when we're not yet pure, then we might have inspiration, but we should check, what does ancient sacred literature, what do the serious practitioners that we look up to? We should first of all find out people that we feel, okay, these are the people I would like to, I see the qualities that they have, and I would like to have those qualities within myself. And so when we find somebody who has good qualities, that has a good spiritual practice, then we inquire from them, and that inspiration can be further confirmed to be, is it aligned with all these different spiritual sources? Otherwise, our inspiration is also coming for our own egotistical attachments. And so all inspiration is coming from God within. So it's the point is whether it is the purest form of inspiration.
Thank you. And Stefan, I wanted to address that. Yeah, you're saying, oh, if you have to ask other people, then it's a cult. And in general, the word cult has gotten a bad meaning since, like, what is that, like, thing that happened in Guyana and people kind of going to all the different religious cults in the 60s. But the original meaning of the cult was a systematic cultivation towards a deity or a figure or a practice. Like, it's like cultivation or culture, not just like, cult is now extremely negative in its connotation. But
so
if you want a cult, then yeah, you can just ask any three people who agree with you, and that could start some stupid thing, and that's happened many times. But if you ask the right people, if you find the right things, then it can guide you in a culture, which is actually progressive, and it can protect you against all these crazy.
If you don't ask people, that's how you end up in a cult, because you're certain about some idea you have that might be completely off. And that's why you want to actually inquire from deep spiritual practitioners, inquire from the sacred literature.
Yeah, it's like if we one of the first teachings of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, no one could be more educated than Arjuna, no one could be more religious or knowing about all these dharmic things, but even he says, I don't know, I need help, I need you to tell me. So we have to have humility to understand that we don't know if we're ever going to learn anything new. Otherwise, yeah, like you said, if we think that we know everything, then that's just false ego, false pride.
One last question.
Before you were speaking on Arjuna and how he was going through a breakdown on like all levels. When, not if but when that happens to people in general, what do you think are good values to have to capitalize on it so that you don't, I guess, stay down?
Yeah, that's I asked the question. Some people think things happen to them, and so the best mental correction is we can just remember, no, things are happening for us. Like it's, it may be seeming. We should try to see how is this. What should I actually see from this situation? And sometimes that may be very difficult. Arjuna is in a very difficult situation, and but everything is being arranged, ultimately for our well-being on the highest level. And if it sometimes takes us breaking down on all these other lower levels, like I said, the 4 levels, the highest level is the spiritual level. And then if something has to get messed up with our false ego, if something has to get messed up with our emotions or physically, to get us like a speed bump, to get us to be more aware of that spiritual thing. It's okay, what is the bigger plan here? How is this affecting my relationship with God? And on the other hand, I know people that have a very strong relationship with God, and then when they go through crisis, like it said, the goodness of a man, or I can't remember the exact word, can be ascertained by how they react to a dire circumstance. So if, like, Srila Prabhupada, he had like multiple heart attacks, and he had to work so hard to get to America, and he was really, really suffering. But because he had that pillar of his spiritual life and he was doing things just to please his guru, he persevered through all of it as if it was nothing. It was for him, he would do it a million times. So like that, if we want to have that drive, if we want to have things on that level, then we have to pursue spiritual happiness as as the root of all the other things. It doesn't mean we don't pursue things materially. We have to. We have a body. We have to breathe. We have to make money. We have to get a thing. But all those should be dovetailed and in line with our main spiritual life related to God. And with that, let's try to develop a little bit more and chant Hare Krishna to develop that spiritual pierce.
Last question.
You can ask after.
About like a wrong chanting, if you chant wrong mantra, it still counts, right?
Like if you okay, I'll ask you a question. When you were a baby and you chanted "Na, na, 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 na," and you didn't know your mom's name, but she still knew what you wanted, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.